What's the difference between the person who almost succeeds and the one who actually wins? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not even intelligence. It's discipline. And discipline, real, unshakable, internal discipline, is the one thing that can turn chaos into control, fear into focus, and pain into power. But here's the twist. In today's world of instant gratification, notifications, and comfort-seeking behavior, discipline has become rebellion. This is where we begin, with a contrast. Most people are prisoners of their desires, but the disciplined person, they become the master of desire. They command their urges, delay gratification, and walk a path others are too afraid to follow. As Niccolo Machiavelli once said, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." In other words, it's not the position that gives you power, it's the inner discipline that makes you worthy of that position. Discipline is not about rules. It's not about suffering or denying yourself joy. It's about power. It's about shaping yourself into someone so focused, so steady, that even when everything around you is falling apart, you remain unmoved. Now imagine this. What if in just 37 minutes you could understand exactly how to build that kind of discipline? Not motivation, not hype, not hacks, but deep-rooted, inner discipline that comes from understanding how your mind, emotions, and actions work, so you can take full control. In this video, we're going to walk through 6 powerful principles, each one revealing a different side of discipline. These are not vague ideas. These are raw, realistic truths you can apply immediately. Some will challenge you, some will trigger you, but all of them will set you free, if you're ready to listen. And here's the truth. You won't master discipline in one day, but if you truly absorb what's in this video, you'll never fall into the same traps again. Because once you understand how Machiavellian discipline works, you stop being manipulated by the world and start bending it to your will. Why should you trust this? Because history rewards the disciplined, from Marcus Aurelius writing his meditations in the chaos of war, to Napoleon sleeping just 3 hours a night, building empires, to modern-day warriors who fight private battles every day just to stay on course. They all understand one thing. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Confucius' discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being stronger than your weakest excuse. It's not about always feeling ready. It's about showing up, especially when you don't. And it's not about being fearless. It's about acting despite fear. You watching this video tells me you're already different. You want something more. You want to stop falling back into the same patterns. You want to take your life back. And here's the good news. You can. But only if you stay with me until the end. I'm going to take you step by step, starting from the inner mindset all the way to practical behaviors that will make your discipline almost automatic. This isn't about military-style rigidity or punishing yourself. This is about building a Machiavellian mindset, where power, patience, and control become your weapons. You're not here to live a soft life. You're here to live a powerful one. And it all starts with mastering discipline. So before we begin, like this video. If you're tired of feeling stuck, comment as we go. I want to hear your affirmations. Share this with someone who needs this mindset. And subscribe if you want more brutal truth and wisdom like this. Also, don't skip any part of the video. Each point builds on the last. If you miss even one, you miss the full transformation. Now let's begin. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose discipline over desire. Number 1. Discipline begins when you break the agreement with comfort. Discipline doesn't start with action. It starts with a decision to break your loyalty to comfort. Most people think they're undisciplined because they're lazy, but laziness is not the cause, it's the symptom. The real cause? You're still in a relationship with your comfort zone. You still believe that rest equals happiness. You still think that avoiding stress is a form of self-love. But Machiavelli knew better. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Discipline is the art of doing what's necessary before it becomes urgent. The reason you keep procrastinating isn't because you're weak. It's because you've conditioned your brain to believe that discomfort equals danger. So every time you try to work out, wake up early, or start something difficult, your brain resists. Why? Because it's addicted to the short-term pleasure of comfort. So what's the solution? You must create a new internal contract. Every time you feel discomfort, say this to yourself: "This is my new home. I grow here." Growth happens in friction, not in ease. Every muscle, every skill, every dream, you get it only when you walk through resistance. Here's a truth no one tells you. Comfort is seductive, but it kills your potential quietly. You won't notice it until you've wasted years. Machiavelli wasn't gentle. He believed in reality, not fantasy. If you want to build discipline, you must abandon the fantasy that growth will feel good. It won't. It will feel like war. But that's where you earn self-respect. Because when you win battles with yourself, the world begins to respect you too. Here's how to start. Wake up when you say you will. No snooze button. Do something difficult daily. Something that stretches your limits. Cut off one comfort behavior this week. Whether it's scrolling, junk food, or emotional venting, each time you choose discomfort intentionally, you train your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of mood and start becoming a master of will. Remember, Abraham Lincoln said, "Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most." You want control? You must fight for it. You want to be free? First, break the chain of comfort. And when you do, something shifts inside you. You stop feeling lost. You stop chasing dopamine. You begin to build something unshakable, discipline. And with that, you become dangerous, in the best way. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose growth. Number 2, the discipline of delayed victory. We live in a culture that celebrates speed, quick wins, overnight success, instant gratification. But real discipline, it requires you to master the art of waiting. It requires you to delay victory, not because you're losing, but because you're preparing. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." That's not just strategy, that's timing. Discipline is not just doing the hard thing now, it's having the emotional patience to keep going when the reward is far away. Ask yourself honestly, can you keep building when nobody notices? Can you keep training when there's no praise? Can you keep planting seeds you won't harvest for months or years? That's the kind of discipline that separates the powerful from the powerless. Let me explain this with an emotional truth. A child cries when they don't get what they want now. An adult suffers in silence, builds in the dark, and lets time prove them right. That's delayed victory. It's discipline in its most spiritual form. When you chase instant results, you end up fragile. The moment things don't go your way, you crumble. But when you delay victory, you strengthen your will. You don't need the world to clap for you. You're clapping for yourself with every silent effort. Machiavelli understood that power was not just about seizing opportunities, but also waiting for the right moment. The wise man does everything slowly because the world moves fast. There's a hidden kind of strength in not rushing. But here's the problem. Your mind has been trained by algorithms. Swipe, click, scroll, like, buy. Everything happens fast. So when life moves slow, you panic. That's why you give up so quickly. You expect to start a business and make money in a month. You expect to get fit in 2 weeks. You expect to build confidence after reading one book. But here's the harsh truth. Real transformation moves like a glacier, not a spark. It takes months of invisible effort. It takes hundreds of small wins that nobody claps for. But that's what builds your inner infrastructure, your real power. Let me ask you this. Would you rather have fast success that fades or slow success that lasts forever? The fast one is built on hype. The slow one is built on discipline. Here's how to train your mind to delay victory. 1. Set long timelines. Instead of trying to win in 30 days, ask, who can I become in 3 years? This instantly resets your expectations and gives your mind peace to build without pressure. 2. Fall in love with the process. Discipline isn't about reaching a finish line. It's about enjoying the climb. When you start valuing effort over outcome, you become unstoppable. Third, track effort, not results. Instead of measuring success by how much you get, measure it by how consistently you show up. Did you show up today? That's a win. Stack those wins. 4. Stay off the scoreboard. Stop comparing. Stop checking who's ahead. Stay in your own lane. Run your race. Let your consistency speak for itself. Because here's the Machiavellian truth. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. You don't need everyone to see you winning now. You just need to become someone that victory eventually bows to, and that only happens when you delay it. Let me get personal with you. There was a time in your life when you gave up too soon. Maybe it was a goal, a dream, a version of yourself you started chasing. But when the results didn't come fast enough, you backed off. Now you carry that regret in silence, but not anymore. This is the moment you say, I don't need it now. I just need to know it's coming. That belief, that quiet, stubborn belief, is your power. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It whispers, I'll wait, I'll build, I'll rise. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I build with patience. Number 3, control your emotions or be controlled. Imagine this. You've got your plan. You've got your goals. You've even got momentum. And then one comment ruins your day. One emotion hijacks your mind. One wave of doubt makes you walk away from everything you've been building. That's not a lack of motivation. That's a lack of emotional discipline. Niccolo Machiavelli believed that power didn't come from having perfect conditions. It came from mastering yourself, especially under pressure. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. In other words, look at how people react under stress. Look at how they behave when things go wrong. That's where real intelligence shows. That's where discipline is either revealed or destroyed. Most people are emotional slaves. They don't act. They react. They're calm until they're insulted, focused until they're discouraged, disciplined until it gets hard. Here's the brutal truth. If you don't control your emotions, someone else will, and they'll use them to manipulate you, distract you, or even destroy you. Your anger can be used against you. Your jealousy can be triggered to control you. Your fear can be weaponized to stop you. That's why Machiavellian discipline is built not just in routines and habits, but in emotional neutrality. The person who stays calm under pressure, that's the real threat. Because when others panic, they plan. When others react, they respond. When others cry, they calculate. Let me tell you a quick story to drive this home. There was a general who once said, I never let my enemies see me sweat. If they know I'm shaken, I've already lost half the war. That's the same in life. You argue with someone, they win by pulling you into their chaos. You get emotionally triggered, they win by taking your control. You spiral in self-doubt. Life wins by making you forget your power. So, what's the solution? You must train emotional control like a muscle. Here's how. 1. Pause before you react. It sounds simple, but that 1-second pause changes everything. That pause gives you control over your response. It lets your higher mind lead, not your fear, not your anger, not your pain. Discipline lives in that pause. 2. Name the emotion. The moment you say, "This is anger," or "This is fear," you separate yourself from it. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of them. Naming them disarms their control. 3. Channel emotions into movement. Don't suppress your emotions. Transmute them. Use pain to fuel your workouts. Use anger to fuel your discipline. Use fear to fuel your preparation. That's the Machiavellian way. You don't run from fire. You become the fire. 4. Protect your emotional energy. Not everyone deserves a response. Not everything needs your reaction. Emotional discipline means learning to ignore things that don't help you grow. Silence is power. Distance is protection. Let fools fight with emotions. You walk forward with purpose. Now, let's get real. Have you ever made a decision you regretted because you were angry? Said something you wish you could take back because you were emotional? Quit something too early because of a wave of doubt or fear? Of course you have. We all have. But from today, that changes. You now understand that emotional control is the root of all discipline, because when your emotions stop leading you, your vision starts guiding you. You become calmer, sharper, more feared, more respected, and most importantly, you become harder to manipulate. Machiavelli once warned that the people closest to you can be your biggest threat, if you allow emotions to cloud your judgment. So, don't. Stay sharp. Let me give you a sentence to live by. Strong emotions are like storms. They pass. But the tree that bends with the wind survives every time. Be that tree. Feel the emotions, but stay rooted in logic, values, and purpose. That's what makes you dangerous. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my emotions. Number 4. The discipline of saying no. You can't master your life if you can't master your time. And you can't master your time if you don't have the courage to say one word. No. In a world that glorifies yes, yes to invites, yes to opportunities, yes to distractions, discipline is the art of refusal. Niccolo Machiavelli warned against pleasing everyone. A prince is also respected when he is either a true friend or a downright enemy. In other words, clarity earns respect. Being vague, agreeable, or indecisive, that only invites chaos. Here's the harsh truth. Most people are overcommitted and underdisciplined. They say yes to everything and wonder why they feel overwhelmed, tired, and lost. They agree to things that drain them. They accept invitations out of guilt. They take on tasks they don't believe in just to avoid discomfort. But every yes to something meaningless is a no to your own growth. Think about that. Every time you say yes to something out of obligation, you're saying no to discipline. You're giving your time, your most powerful currency, to people, activities, and habits that don't build you. So what's the solution? You need to develop the discipline of boundaries. Not the soft kind, not maybe later, not I'll think about it, but the hard, clear, and powerful no. Why is this so difficult? Because most of us are trained to be liked, not respected. We've been conditioned to feel guilty for choosing ourselves. We fear rejection. We fear being misunderstood. But let me ask you, what's more painful, temporary discomfort, or a lifetime of resentment? Machiavelli didn't build his power by pleasing people. He did it by controlling access, time, and emotional investment. The disciplined man or woman guards their energy like a king guards his castle. Let's get practical. Here are 4 areas where you need to start saying no immediately. 1. Say no to draining people. You know who they are, the ones who always have drama, the ones who never grow but always complain, the ones who expect everything but offer nothing. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life. Cut them off, or create distance. Your peace is your responsibility. 2. Say no to shallow pleasures, scrolling for hours, mindless entertainment, cheap dopamine hits that leave you feeling empty. These are comfort traps. Discipline requires delayed pleasure, choosing long-term satisfaction over quick fixes. Say no to what distracts you from becoming who you're meant to be. Third, say no to overcommitting. You are not a machine. Stop trying to be everything for everyone. You don't need to attend every event. You don't need to reply instantly. You don't need to solve everyone's problems. Respect your time, and others will follow. 4. Say no to old versions of you. This one's deep. Stop saying yes to habits, behaviors, and people that belong to the old you. Every time you go back to who you used to be, you delay who you're trying to become. Burn the bridge. Discipline isn't just about what you do, it's about who you no longer choose to be. A quick reality check. Have you ever said yes to a plan, then regretted it later? Agreed to help someone, then felt drained and resentful? Spent time on something meaningless and wondered why your goals still feel far away? That's because you haven't learned to protect your yes with the power of no. Discipline is not about doing more, it's about doing less, but with more focus. Powerful people don't do everything, they do only what matters and eliminate the rest. You need to start thinking like a ruler. Your time is your army. Don't send it into battles that don't serve your kingdom. As Machiavelli said, it is much safer to be feared than loved if one has to lack one of the two. In your case, it's better to be respected than liked. When you say no with clarity, people may resist at first, but eventually they'll respect your discipline. More importantly, you'll respect yourself. Let's leave it with this. The discipline of saying no is the beginning of saying yes to your real power. You don't need to please everyone. You don't need to do everything. You just need to protect what matters. That's how empires are built. That's how warriors are made. That's how discipline becomes who you are, not just what you do. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my time. I say no with power. Number 5. Discipline means you move without motivation. If you're waiting to feel like it, you've already lost. That's the trap. Most people only act when they're motivated, when they're inspired. When the mood is right, the stars align, and their emotions give them permission. But here's the truth. Motivation is weak. Discipline is divine. Machiavelli never trusted feelings. He trusted action. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. In other words, don't wait to feel important. Do important things, whether you feel like it or not, because the world doesn't reward your feelings. It rewards your consistency. Let me give you an emotional contrast. A man who waits for motivation becomes a slave to his moods. But a man who moves regardless of motivation, he becomes unstoppable because nothing controls him anymore. That's why discipline is so rare. Everyone wants change, but few are willing to move without applause, excitement, or dopamine. They want it to feel good. They want it to feel easy, and the second it gets boring, tiring, or inconvenient, they stop. You can't build anything great with that mindset. Here's the Machiavellian truth. If your work, habits, or purpose rely on how you feel, you will always be unreliable to yourself and to others. Let's break that down. Motivation says, I feel good today, so I'll go to the gym. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel, I'm going. Motivation says, I'm inspired to work on my goals tonight. Discipline says, inspiration or not, I've made a commitment. Machiavelli believed in predictable power. He wanted rulers who showed up, who endured, who didn't bend to emotional winds. And the disciplined man, he is more dangerous than the motivated man because he doesn't wait. So, how do you build discipline without motivation? It's not about forcing yourself to suffer. It's about designing a system that makes action automatic. Here are 4 powerful ways to start. 1. Tie your actions to identity. Stop saying, "I want to write," and start saying, "I'm a writer." Don't say, "I should work out." Say, "I'm the kind of person who trains daily." When you act from identity, not emotion, discipline becomes second nature. 2. Create rituals, not routines. Routines are mechanical. Rituals are sacred. Turn your discipline into something meaningful. Make your workout a form of prayer. Make your morning reading a conversation with greatness. Make your nighttime planning a silent war council. When your actions have meaning, you don't need motivation. 3. Make the decision once. People fail because they make the same decision every day. Should I go today? Should I eat clean today? Should I keep building? Discipline means, I've already decided. Now I just follow through. Machiavelli would say, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." But you keep your word to yourself, no matter what. 4. Reward execution, not emotion. At the end of the day, don't ask, "Did I feel inspired?" Ask, "Did I show up?" Let consistency become your confidence. Let your past discipline speak for your future success. What happens when you live this way? You stop waiting. You start moving. You stop negotiating. You start leading. You stop being reactive. You become intentional. People will wonder how you're so consistent, how you do so much with so little, how you're rising while they're still thinking. The answer? You act, regardless of emotion. That's Machiavellian power. You're not chasing feelings, you're commanding your future. And that's when you become dangerous, because nothing stops you anymore. Let me tell you this. There will be days when you're tired, days when your heart is broken, days when your mind is loud with doubt, and yet you'll still show up. Because discipline is not a mood, it's a message. No matter what happens around me, I stay loyal to who I'm becoming. That kind of loyalty, that kind of quiet, relentless movement, that's how kings are made. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I don't wait to feel ready. I move with discipline. Number 6. Your pain is your training ground. You've been lied to about pain. They told you pain means something's wrong. They told you to avoid it, numb it, run from it. But Machiavelli, he knew the truth. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. And pain, especially emotional, mental, or spiritual pain, is not your enemy. It's your call to rise. It's your personal crucible. It's the fire that either burns you down or builds you up. Pain is not punishment. It's preparation. Every disciplined person you admire, every warrior, leader, or icon was built in pain. They didn't become strong because life was easy. They became disciplined because they endured what others ran from. Here's the brutal truth. Most people want transformation without pressure, growth without discomfort, change without chaos. But that's not how it works. Discipline isn't born in comfort. It's born in suffering that you refuse to let break you. Think about this. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that loss. It wasn't just a wound. It was a weapon forged just for you. That failure, that humiliation, it wasn't the end. It was training, sharpening your focus. That doubt, that anxiety, that dark night of the soul, it was life saying, if you make it through this, you'll never be the same. Machiavelli understood power, and pain in his philosophy was never wasted. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. But to command others, you must first command yourself in chaos. That means standing tall when everything hurts. It means showing up when your heart is broken. It means saying, I'm still here, even when you want to disappear. How does pain build discipline? Let's break it down with 4 truths. 1. Pain exposes weaknesses. You don't know your limits when you're comfortable, but pain shows you where you break, and more importantly, it shows you where to rebuild stronger. Every time life punches you, you learn how to fight back better. 2. Pain destroys illusion. When you suffer, the lies fall away. You stop caring about opinions. You stop chasing empty praise. You stop wasting time on shallow pursuits. Pain gives you clarity, and clarity builds discipline. 3. Pain creates emotional endurance. Every time you go through pain without quitting, you raise your threshold. Now, what used to break you doesn't even move you. You become emotionally bulletproof. People look at you and think, "How are you still standing?" And you just smile, because they'll never understand what you went through. 4. Pain builds a fire inside you. There's a certain rage that comes from being broken but not destroyed. And when you channel that pain into your purpose, you become a force of nature. You wake up earlier, you train harder, you focus deeper, because you've suffered. And now, nothing can stop you. Let me tell you something real. The most dangerous man is not the one who's never been hurt. It's the one who's been broken, but chose to discipline his pain into purpose. You're not soft. You're not broken. You're being refined. And this version of you that's being forged through pain, that's the version that will command respect, silence rooms, and change your world. You're in your training ground right now. Maybe it's a quiet depression. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's the pressure of responsibility nobody sees. But this is your gym. This is your battlefield. This is your Machiavellian furnace. And if you show up daily, if you don't flinch, don't complain, don't run, you'll emerge as someone who is impossible to break. Machiavelli believed the strongest leaders weren't the ones who were handed power. They were the ones who earned it through fire. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. Don't regret wasting your pain. Don't numb it. Don't escape it. Use it. Turn your pain into fuel. Turn your sadness into strength. Turn your suffering into a sword. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My pain is my power. My suffering sharpens my discipline. Let's take a breath. You've just walked through 6 brutally honest, deeply emotional, and strategically powerful lessons, each one pulling you closer to a version of yourself that's untouchable. This isn't motivation, it's transformation. And that transformation begins and ends with one word: discipline. Not the shallow, surface-level discipline of morning routines and productivity hacks, but the deep, soul-rooted discipline that becomes a way of life. You've seen that discipline means building structure when your mind wants chaos, saying no to the world so you can say yes to yourself, moving forward without waiting for motivation, owning your time like a ruler owns his kingdom, turning your pain into power, and showing up no matter what. Niccolo Machiavelli never believed in weakness disguised as kindness. He believed in power built through awareness, self-command, and ruthless clarity. And you've just tapped into that energy. But here's what I need you to understand. This is not the end. This video, this script, these 37 minutes, they were your spark. Now you need to turn that spark into a fire. Because the world you live in, it's chaotic, it's loud, it's full of distractions and doubt, and it will try every single day to pull you back into weakness. But if you stay committed, if you build the habits, if you hold the line when it's uncomfortable, if you say yes to discipline when everyone else chooses ease, you will become something rare, someone powerful without needing to prove it, someone respected without needing to speak, someone unstoppable, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. Discipline is not the goal, it's the foundation for every goal. It's the backbone of character, success, respect, and inner peace. And now, it belongs to you. So, before you leave this video, make this commitment to yourself right now. Drop this in the comments so I know you're not just watching, you're becoming. I live by discipline. I rise. I command. I endure. And if this video woke something up inside you, if it gave you truth you haven't heard before, if it made you feel seen, stronger, or clearer, then do 3 things right now. Like this video, comment your affirmation, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because this world doesn't need more people chasing comfort. It needs warriors, leaders, thinkers, builders. It needs you, disciplined, awake, and ready. Thank you for watching. Now go live it, and never let your feelings dictate your fate again.